Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM 106.3, and we welcome now from the Kapiti Coast District Council, Martin Halliday, Councillor, and of course you often pop in to have a look at what's happening in the Raumati, the Paraparaumu Community Board as well. Kathy Spire's not joining us this morning. Martin, I have to ask you about the Gateway building. Where do you stand? It's just turned out to be an amazing issue which seems to have bubbled up. We've had it there in the wings for literally years, and then all of a sudden...
Decades, John, I think decades.
Decades, you're right, decades. And you've been involved in quite a few of those discussions. So where do you stand with where we're at and where we're likely to go?
Well, it's I'm not going to say it's a contentious issue. It's certainly been a polarising issue over the last little while. And I've been involved, I dare say, for a short while, but that's been still, 6 years involved in this conversation, both as chair of the Paraparaumu Beach Paraparaumu Beach Business Association when I had the little tea house down at the beach, but also worked for a little while in partnership with the Kapiti Boating Club with regards to looking at getting a business or looking at their function side of things. So
yes.
That gave me a very nice ability to get a handle on the dynamics that are down there with regards to people doing the boating aspect, and also how the synergies work perhaps with the businesses and that space as well. So, look, I voted, I was a no on the Thursday meeting. There was 3 of us that voted against where we were heading with this. I guess my view's been a little bit around the process that's gone into this. I appreciate that there's been time constraints with regards to applying for the PGF fund, which is why this has sort of been compressed into quite a tight time frame. We've had a process happening over about the last 12 months, I suppose, around the TRC group doing a report into the feasibility and the options that are available for our Gateway.
Yeah.
And the focus I found, from this is my opinion, was more on putting something into the Kapiti Boating Club. And a lot of us have been focused on that not happening because the boat club wasn't really that keen on it, if you like. Mm-hmm. So we've gone through a process, and a lot of us were really wanting something to happen on the south side of the stream. And we sort of got there with this TRC report in March.
Yep.
But the process that then took over at that point, which was very time constrained, seemed to jump, I think, the community aspect of the consultation process. We had a local advisory group, and I don't think they've really had the opportunity to feed into the decision process that's allowed for the design that's gone forward. And from my perspective, I've always been of view a small purpose-built facility as a gateway, if you like, to Kapiti Island. It's been more about the, I keep wanting to say quarantine, but it's not. It's the...
biosecurity.
Biosecurity, sorry about that. Biosecurity to get to Kapiti Island. That's really what the focus of this has been about. And I think there's been 2 conversations mixed up here, which is a gateway to Kapiti in general and the biosecurity demarcation point to go to Kapiti Island. And I think we could do that very inexpensively, but something that works more in working with the park rather than putting a big building in the park as such. And I refer back to the 2007 Community Outcomes document that is currently sitting within Council, where the community were consulted, and one of the things that came out of that was not putting a building in the Plain Park. Now that seems to be sort of a little bit circumnavigated by the Plain Park process. But I still think that the general community doesn't want to see a big building in that space. I think they would be happy seeing something a lot smaller than what's being proposed, and perhaps it's a little bit more deck orientated, a little bit more like a dock. One of the dock, all of the dock sort of covers that you find around the place for these types of experiences, because this is a rough experience. I know the Barretts have a more upmarket option, but this is sort of a bushwalk in relation to nature type experience. I think it's quite a rustic feel to it. I'm not saying we've got to go down market, but I think there's we haven't really explored the option of what could also be there besides the building that's being proposed. And that's where I've got a bit of a problem.
It was interesting that one of the operators, one of the tourist operators, talked about a bus stop type building, and I know what they mean, and that's that rustic kind of thing that I think you're alluding to. So
I think so, yes.
And it's very interesting that we seem to have a confusion of priorities here, a confusion of possible uses, but it really has been compounded by these artificial timelines. Firstly, COVID-19 got in the way, and it meant that we couldn't have our normal consultation. The normal processes were upended for obvious reasons. But also this PGF timeline, which seems to have compressed what could well, in the normal circumstances, been a proper process.
Yeah, look, I agree and disagree with that. And what I mean by that is that the PGF process has been going on for over a couple of years. This conversation around the gateway has been going for that long as well. It's just been a long, drawn-out process, and it's gotten to the end. And all of a sudden, because of that long, drawn-out process, the door's shutting quickly, and all of a sudden it's all being done in a hurry. And I think we need to take a little bit of a pause there with regards to that, because I know that, with COVID-19 and PGF, we've got the shovel-ready projects aspect of all this, and I think that's bled into this conversation a bit as well. And I don't know if we've got such a tight time frame with the PGF, but that's not, I could be incorrect on that. It's important that the council wants to get this in the timely manner within the time frame that the PGF has given them. But I question the point of, well, if there is this much angst in the community with regards to this process, then perhaps we just have to tie-ho on the process a bit, go back to the drawing board a little bit, and see if we can get that more balanced approach to things. And if we miss out on the PGF application, we miss out on the PGF application, or there may be other applications or other funds that we can apply to. Things will be dependent, I dare say, on who the next government is. But there are still packages that will potentially come through with regards to assistance. And that may or may not happen, and I guess it's the big red flag that's being waved at the moment. This is an opportunity. It's here, it's now, and we can take advantage of it. The indication is that there's good support in relation to this moving to the next step. But we're in very different times now, and I think a lot of our community are sort of sitting down going, is it appropriate to have that sort of spend now? Can we perhaps do the work in regards to getting this ready, but perhaps defer for a while? These are conversations that need to be had. That and the business plan that was put forward wasn't, I found it quite
underwhelming.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't take it to the bank. There was a lot of assumption made. I think is the right word I'm looking for. A lot of assumption made, and to me, that the thing about a business case, it needs to be stacked in reality. And part of the big concern a lot of councils have is the ongoing costs of the community. It's all very well trying to get it built, and the smaller option, I think, leans a little bit more towards a facility that doesn't need staff in it and is very, very low maintenance. So it's not a substantial ongoing cost as such. But these are the things that need to be teased out. These are the conversations that haven't been had to look at some different options and to flesh these sorts out. We've just gone down one pathway because of the time constraints, because rather than involving the local advisory group, we've gone with this gateway governance group who don't have a lot of locals in it. The iwi dock side of things has been pushed quite heavily. So if they are leading this process, why aren't there funds coming from that area as well? Yes. There's arguments that all the funds are coming from government. So there's still a lot to be teased out with this. And it'll be very interesting. And if you like, the decision on Thursday was just about the PGF application process. So that may go ahead. That doesn't mean that we still need to go ahead with the project, even if we are successful with the funding application. The business case will still need to stack up. So we've still got some interesting conversation to go in this arena yet.
Do you foresee that given a proper process, given a reasonable business case, given a good definition of what the building is for, that you could support it eventually?
Look, I'm certainly not. I'm not open to it at all. I'd be the first person to say that having a departure point of a better quality experience for our people that are coming to Kapiti is a must. I've said it for years. The type of building that's being proposed, where it's being proposed, the fact that it is half a car park, in fact, one of the operators isn't even that keen on it. It leans to me that there needs to be a bit more of a robust conversation around it, what it is. And I guess it comes back to process, and I could even take this back to our economic development strategy or lack of one, and our tourism strategy or lack of one. Because to me, these are the sorts of things that we should be planning for. And we don't seem to have a process in place to allow that to happen. That's got to change. And as far as I'm aware, the economic development strategy, I think, might actually be landing this month, which will be absolutely fantastic because that's been long overdue. And that, to me, is where the planning for these sorts of things should be sitting, rather than that sort of knee-jerk reaction to a time frame. We should be working ahead in these sorts of scenarios. But we're not quite there yet. But hopefully we're heading in the right direction for that, I hope.
Well, that's great. Let's end on that slightly optimistic note. And thank you very much for joining us this morning here on Beach FM. It's been very entertaining and informative. Councillor Martin Halliday, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for your time as well, John. Much appreciated.
106.3 Beach FM.